What is going to be AHS Rules back again with another video. And we're here for another weekly ROH TV review. And this is a big episode of ROH because we have 3 championship matches. We got a lot of other great stuff that happened on this episode. But the main thing that we need to talk about right off the top, it is in the title of the video. We have a new Ring of Honor World Champion, AEW Grand Slam, Dynamite Grand Slam, whatever you want to call it. Eddie Kingston walked out as the Ring of Honor World Champion as he defeated Claudio Castagnoli in the title versus title match. So Eddie Kingston is now the Ring of Honor World Champion, as well as still the New Japan Strong Openweight Champion. And Eddie kicked off this episode of Ring of Honor in a backstage interview from Dynamite Grand Slam. And he's saying that he's hurting. And he's going to continue to hurt because now he has to defend 2 championships. He's shook Claudio's hand because he respects Claudio, the competitor, but he still does not like Claudio, the person. But he dedicates his championship title win to Xavier, who was always great to him in the locker room and was the second ever Ring of Honor World Champion, in a fitting tribute. On this date, I'm filming this Thursday night, September 21st. It's the same date that Xavier won the Ring of Honor World Championship in 2002. So I thought it was fitting to mention that. We have Eddie Kingston, who's our new Ring of Honor World Champion. I also forgot to write down, so I'm going to mention it now. We also had, in the main event of Dynamite Grand Slam, 2 other Ring of Honor champions compete against each other as MJF defeated Samoa Joe to retain his AEW World Championship. MJF, I will admit, sometimes forget he's ROH Tag Team Champion, and Samoa Joe is still the ROH TV Champion. But speaking of the tag team titles at Rampage, Grand Slam Rampage, I don't know. Maybe they should change Grand Slam to a pay-per-view, because this is getting a lot of names I have to say. But at Grand Slam Rampage, there will be a fatal 4-way tag team match involving the Hardys, the Righteous, the Kingdom, and the Best Friends, with the winning team facing Adam Cole and MJF at Wrestle Dream for the ROH Tag Team Champions. Now, I already know who wins this match, but because I'll have to talk about this in the future, and things might change, which we'll go into part B, but I'm not going to spoil who wins it. But B, there's a rumor that Adam Cole might be injured. We still don't know the severity, but when he came out during the main event match, he jumped off the stage, which was definitely dangerous, and he was limping for the rest of the time that he was out there. So get well soon, Adam Cole, and we'll see what happens then. But also, last but not least, another ROH-related tag team title match will be involved at Rampage as the Young Bucks and Hangman Adam Page, collectively known as the Hung Bucks, who are also former ROH 6-man tag team champions, will be challenging for the 6-man tag team championships against the winners of tonight's main event of ROH. But we got a long way to go before we get to there. We have our first title match, that being a pure title match, Katsuyori Shibata versus Nick Wayne. I will mention this. First Coleman made a great point on commentary. This is Nick Wayne's first match in ROH, and that also means it's his first pure rules match. He jumped right into the deep end in his first Ring of Honor matchup. Shibata takes the match to the ground immediately, and then Wayne uses his first rope break after a Shibata has an ankle lock rolled in. I will admit this is a proud thing. There's this rock that has been stuck on this rug, and I've been trying to dig it out for a long time, and I finally got it out. So that's why I'm like, got the big googly eyes at the moment. They go to the outside, and Wayne throws Shibata into the guardrail, and then Shibata did not take that lightly, and Shibata does that to Wayne several times. Once back of the ring, Wayne fights back with uppercuts, and hits a basement dropkick like Shibata does, and Shibata was not fazed by it and hits his own. Nick Wayne uses his second rope break after Shibata locks in a Cobra twist, and then quickly uses his last rope break to flip. He runs off of the ropes and flips over Shibata to land a body drop. Wayne lands some super kicks. However, Shibata could still lock in the sleeper hold and penalty kick to win the matchup. So it's very much Nick Wayne's first, like I mentioned at the very top, his first Pure Rules match going against a Pure Rules legend. I know Shibata, he just won the Pure title this year, but he still knows what he's doing, and Shibata retained his championship. And I don't remember when the hell they said it. I think it was on Collision But Shibata, I believe, is competing at Wrestle Dream, but I might have just made that up. They didn't mention it here. I think it was on Collision last week. Next matchup is Diamante versus Katie Bright. And this was a quick matchup, mainly with Diamante landing lots of chops and winning the match with a crossroads. Now, this is what I'll say. A lot of times, people compare Ring of Honor to AEW Dark and Dark Revelation of the past. And I've always said it's like 50-50. 50% of the show feels like Dark and Dark Revelation. The other 50 feels like the older ROH TV shows, the ones that I reviewed back in the day. But this episode felt like a mix, like the old ROH, which is something that I appreciated. Because there's not a lot of squash matches. A lot of the matchups that were involved tonight involved people that we've been seeing regularly on Ring of Honor, which I enjoyed because there's no set roster for ROH. So I'm mainly mentioning this now because this was the only... There's one more squash match, but a great majority of these matches had some type of story involved with it. Speaking of a story, the next matchup, Lee Johnson versus Lee Moriarty. I know that these two men faced off in a tag team match on ROH. I also think they've had a singles match before, because I remember specifically in the tag team title match, or the tag match, I was like, I can't just say Lee, because, both guys are named Lee, but I'm just mentioning that now. But in a backstage segment earlier before this match, Big Shotty was being interviewed, but it was quickly interrupted by Shane Taylor and Lee Moriarty, as last week, Lee Moriarty joined Shane Taylor Promotions, and he came out during the Shane Taylor-Lee Johnson matchup, and so he was apologizing to Lee Johnson because he did not know that him coming out there would distract Lee Johnson as much as it did, and that he wants to shake his hand after this match. He wanted to shake it before the match, and then he ended up didn't shaking it, but he did promise that it was a clean hand. We get lots of chops early on, and as both tried to be aggressive, we get lots of drop kicks by Lee Johnson during the match, and a Blue Thunder Bomb for a 2 count. We also get a Frog Splash from Lee Johnson for a 2 count. Then Big Shotty is caught in the ropes and gets hit with a leg lariat by Moriarty, leading to a Lee Moriarty win. This is a good match. Now, we get minion training with Athena, Billy Starks, and Lexi Nair, as Athena wants both of her main minions. If they have any numbers, she didn't say them at this point, but she wants them to showcase no joy and no happiness, as lots of things were happening. And I'll say this, a lot of backstage talent were involved in this, and I would imagine they were not told what was going on, because they were just like staring, and then they would like... It was it's a funny thing. You'll most likely see it somewhere this week. But this minion training involved lots of running up the stairs, cheering, and booing. So Athena would say a name, and the name she kept mentioning was Willow Nightingale. So both of them would have to boo. And then probably the grossest thing that has happened on Ring of Honor television interviews while I've been talking, Lexi Nair has gum, and she has to spit it out. Then Billy Starks has to chew that same piece of gum. And then they run into, like I said, they run into backstage talent, and one of them they run into is Willow Nightingale, and Athena points at her, and they both have to boo her. Then the segment ends with Lexi Nair. She graduates, and now she is a main minion. She gave a specific title, but I forgot. I think it was main minion. However, Billy Stark still sucks, and I guess did not graduate from minion training. So, like I said, you'll more than likely see that somewhere this weekend, if you look enough. Next matchup is Trish Adora versus Mercedes Martinez. I'm getting this notepad closer to me, because when I have it like this far away, it's hard for me to see. Diamante accompanies Mercedes Martinez and assists her early on, leading to her having an early advantage. Adora fights back after a big boot, and it doesn't faze Martinez as she lands a dragon suplex and a big elbow, leading to the Brass City Sleeper to secure the victory. Speaking of Athena, we have a women's title match as Athena defends against Angelina Love. Now, they mentioned this. They were like, oh, Athena has a championship title match with Angelina Love later on tonight, who's a former women's champion. And then they mentioned, hey, Athena, this is her biggest match on ROH, which I don't think that's a lot. They did say, hey, this is her biggest test because she's facing a former Women of Honor champion. And then I pride myself in knowing a lot about ROH. I completely forgot / had no idea Angelina Love was the Women of Honor champion. I had no memory of it. I remember her being in ROH, in the Allure. They cause a lot of crazy crap. A women's title reign, I do not remember. And then I Googled, I researched. She only held the championship for a month. So my memory of that being thrown out the window kind of makes sense because all the other title reigns were kind of longer title reigns. So a month title reign slipped out of my mind. So Athena versus Angelina Love. And it's also very fitting because Angelina Love just came off the Impact 1000th appearance. So let's get into this matchup. Let's see. Both taunt each other early on, but Angelina pushes Billy Starks into Athena on the outside to get an advantage. Once Starks pulls out her pom-poms from the minion training earlier, Athena starts to fire up. Then Starks distracts the referee and Angelina, which she was just cheering. And so, neither one of them had to get distracted, but both the ref and Angelina were distracted. And then Athena is able to get up and hit a slam into her knees to win the matchup and retain her championship. Now we get a 6-women tag team match. Layla Hirsch and the Renegades versus Willow Nightingale, Sky Blue, and Kiera Hogan. Hogan and Robin start the match off, but the Renegades and Hirsch keep Sky Blue on their side of the ring once she is tagged in. Then Willow tags in and dominates, hitting both the Renegades with a suplex, and each person in the matchup gets involved, ending with a pout, period, on Layla Hirsch by Willow Nightingale. Maria Kanellis comes out to watch this match as she watches a great majority of Layla Hirsch matches. I just noticed something wrong with my TV. That's why I'm looking that way. But they don't really focus on Maria that much, mainly because there's 6 other people out here. Willow and Blue hit a super kick / Death Valley driver, while Hogan hits a dive to the outside on a Hirsch. And the match ends with a Sky Code Blue onto Robin Renegade, leading to Willow Nightingale, Sky Blue, and Kiera Hogan winning the matchup. Next, we get another quick matchup as is Ethan Page versus VSK. Page dominates the matchup and wins with a slingshot cutter. Then later on, we get a promo from Ethan Page, and he's on a roll in Ring of Honor. He only's got 2 wins, and he did mention, I guess you consider that a roll because it's 2 wins, but he just wants to get back to wrestling. He wants to get back to enjoying himself because he hasn't the past couple of years, in that he feels ROH is the best place for him to do that. Now we get some exciting stuff. Another 6-person tag team match, 6-men tag match. Tony Nese and Helico and Serpentico versus the team of Metalik, Gravity, and El Hijo del Vikingo. Now, it was a couple weeks ago. It was the Mogul Embassy versus Griff Garrison, Metalik, and Gravity. And I'm like, why the hell is Griff Garrison here? Can we just get another luchador out there? And then they probably got the best one available and best one out there in El Hijo del Vikingo. So I appreciate that taking place. But earlier in the back, Nese says that he chose the Spanish Announce Project to team with him. And if they impress him enough, they can get free group exercises. But he mentioned, do not come out until I tell you to. But they came out immediately. They did not listen to him. So Serpentico and Metalik start the match off. We get lots of tags that take place early on, and we see Vikingo dive onto Nese, followed by Metalik and Gravity diving onto the SAP. SAP keep Metalik on their side of the ring once they're all back in the ring. Then Tony Nese tags in. He tries to rip off Gravity's mask, which pisses off the SAP, which Tony Nese and SAP were kind of talking back and forth throughout the match, but this was kind of the boiling point for them, and they don't really walk off. They jump off the apron, and then I don't know what the hell happened with it. They weren't shown on the camera again, but they left out, and then Metalik won the match for his team after hitting a senton onto Nese. So, like I said, I would love to see this trio a lot more. I just see Vikingo. Him on ROH occasionally is a great sight. Next, we get another tag team match, this one being Cole Carter and Griff Garrison versus Action Andretti and Darius Martin. Maria Kanellis has been trying to recruit and has been scouting Cole Carter and Griff Garrison for weeks now, and now Griff Garrison has kind of caved in, and now he is teaming with them. In a backstage segment, he was like, yeah, I don't really have any momentum going for me, so I'm willing to give this a test run, teaming with Cole Carter. Carter and Martin start the match off, and Andretti and Martin hit a tag team move, which is also very fitting because a lot of times Andretti and Martin don't have matching attire, and this time they do, and it's fitting because this match they're trying to get over. Hey, we're an actual tag team. And Carl Carter and Griff Garrison aren't. And like I said, they were hitting double tag team moves early on to prove that they were a real team. And they have the advantage until a Maria distraction turns the tide. Garrison stops Cole Carter from putting his foot on the rope during a rope break, and he's like, we're not doing that, we're not winning that way. And Maria and Cole Carter are mad about it, and then Andretti dives onto him, and then he dives onto Cole Carter, hitting a springboard 450, leading to the win for Action Andretti and Darius Martin. Now we get to our main event, 6-man tag team title match, the Mogul Embassy versus the Infantry and Willie Mack. I know I mentioned a couple weeks ago, I'm calling them the Embassy. In ROH, they're the Embassy. And then I've now caved in. They're the Mogul Embassy. On the graphics, they call them the Mogul Embassy. Sometimes they call them just the Embassy. I'm calling them the Mogul Embassy from now on. And B, the winning trio will face the Young Bucks and Hangman Adam Page tomorrow at Rampage, as I mentioned several times. Shawn Dean and Khan start the match off, but the Infantry are dominated until Mack is able to tag in, and he lands a suplex onto Cage, and then Cage lands a suplex onto Mack off the second rope. Mack hits a stunner onto Leona, leading to a suplex by both members of the Infantry on him, and then Mack lands a sky high on Cage, but it only gets a 2 count. Khan hits a back body drop on Mack, while Leona hits a pounce, second time tonight, on Shawn Dean, and then we get a slam by Cage onto Bravo, and this leads to the Gates of Agony, hitting the Gates of Agony on Willie Mack to win this matchup, and meaning that we'll get the Mogul Embassy versus the Young Bucks and Hangman Adam Page on Rampage for the 6-man tag team titles. So, loaded episode, lots of great things happen. We got 3 championship matches. We have a new Ring of Honor World Champion. We got a lot of Ring of Honor related stuff happening. I will say this before I wrap this up. I'm a bit concerned this is just me over-speculating and just kind of, speculation. No, confirmed or anything. But there's a rumor out there that AEW is expanding their pay-per-view schedule, which we can already see that because in October, now they have a pay-per-view in Wrestle Dream, which if you want to know what I would have liked to see on Wrestle Dream, I made a whole video about it. And we're seeing a lot more Ring of Honor related stuff on AEW program, where it kind of was reduced back once ROH TV was announced, and a lot of AEW fans didn't like seeing ROH related stuff on AEW program, but I don't mind because I like ROH. But like I said, the tag team champions have not appeared on ROH TV since winning the freaking tag titles, which somewhat expected. My main concern, what I'm getting at, is I'm slightly concerned we might not get Final Battle this year, and if we do, it might not be a pay-per-view. And the reason I'm saying that is, they already have a AEW pay-per-view in October, and they have one in November, full gear. December, I don't know if they're going to have an AEW pay-per-view or not. If not, it would make the most sense to have the ROH pay-per-view. So, again, maybe I'm just over-speculating, but I feel that this year's Final Battle would be a massive show, because I really doubt you'd put an ROH pay-per-view together without having any of the champions involved. Or that was kind of stupid. Without the champions involved, because almost all the ROH pay-per-views we've had, all the champions have been involved. And right now, we got a new Ring of Honor World Champion. MJF and Adam Cole, they're tag team champions. This could be a massive final battle. But like I said, at Wrestle Dream, we're supposed to get a ROH tag team title match. I believe, I think I said Shibata's supposed to have a title match. I still might have made that up. It would make sense if he was on the card. But what I'm getting at, bit concerned we might not get Final Battle. Maybe that's just me over-exaggerating, overthinking things. And if we get Final Battle, I'll be the first person here. And the first thing once it is announced, I will say it. The first ROH review that it's announced, hey, we're getting Final Battle. I overreacted a couple weeks ago. But like I said, a lot of good things are going on for ROH right now. So let's see the momentum keep going. And the momentum keep going in life in general. So thank you for watching this video. Stay safe. Like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. I'm going to fix my TV. I keep looking back. I'm like, why is it like this? But I'm going to fix it. So, see you then. See you whenever I see you. Bye.